Hello, Professor. Good evening. My name is Jijo George, and today I'm here to present research proposal on impact of natural disaster risk on cost of living and migration in the US. I'll quickly talk about the problem statement. So, with this current study, we are trying to assess the impact of rising natural disaster risk in and across US and US economy. Before getting further into the statement, we will have to understand what natural disaster risk is. So, it is basically a combination of events like floods, storms, earthquakes, and wildfires that together increase the chances of damage to people, property, and the economy. So, if we take a step back, think about 1990s, it was just an environmental issue, but now things have changed. It has become a major economic and social force which is driving up the housing and insurance cost. And it is also influencing migration patterns across the United States. So while there were many researches done on this topic, they all clearly show that these disasters they indeed affect the housing, insurance, and migration. These factors were often studied separately. So what is still so we are trying to fill in those gaps. We are trying to understand what is missing. We are trying to generate a clear state level, county level picture of how these risks drive both cost of living and population movement over the time. In order to further understand the entire process, we have divided them into four focus areas. The first one is disaster trend. Based on the publicly available data sets, we tried to understand the frequency of events. You try to understand the severity of severity of event associated with it, severity associated with that event. Then once we have the data available, we then compare it with the housing and insurance, whether it actually did impact the rising of housing prices, rents, or insurance premium. So it is generally understood that in high risk zones with events occurring frequently, there will be instability, there will be a rise in insurance premium and the rents, and overall cost of living will indeed in turn increase. Next comes the migration pressure. So if we look into the coastal areas with the repeated events happening again and again, with the severity of events happening again and again, it is generally understood that there will be an inward population migration from coastal regions to inland areas in the US. Overall, with the entire research or the study proposal, we are trying to trying to understand long-term economic impact to the US on the US economy. This slide further talks about why the study is important. So, if we look into the data for past 3 decades, we can see the US has seen threefold increase in billion-dollar disaster events. More than 1 in 10 US household has reported disaster impact in 2022. Hurricanes and storms alone account for over 60% of total disaster-related economic losses. Moving on further, this is a screenshot from FEMA, federal government risk intelligence platform, where they have kind of given an intelligence platform where we can look into the details of the disaster events happening, risk associated with it, and the annual expected loss associated with it. So we can drill down further into state level, county level. For example, if I have to look into Houston or Florida, I will see when I click on Houston, I'll see what events are occurring frequently in Houston. What is the risk index associated to it? Is it high risk? Is it moderate? Is it low? And what is the cost associated to that disaster? And even we can drill down further to see look into the population migration from coastal regions towards inland. So if we look into this picture, look into the screenshot, we can see the risks are not evenly distributed. Some the high risk concentrations are along the coastal areas. So the Gulf Coast, Florida, Texas, California, the part of Southeast, all these are the states or the counties which face repeated hazard disaster events. There we will see a repeated insurance hike. There They will always have rebuilding cost and long-term population instability. Next is a historical trend graph from another federal government website, NOAA. So this clearly depicts the number of events and the disaster cost associated with the events. So it starts with, if we look into 1980, it was number of events were below 4. If we look into 2020s, anywhere between 2020 and 24, the event has gone about 28, and the cost associated with the disaster is above $500 billion. And based on based on the data sources we defined, and based on the entire study and problem statement, based on the gaps we are trying to cover, the overall study can overall entire research study can be categorized into 5 research questions. So basically the entire study is this is what you are trying to answer with the study, and then each research question is associated with a hypothesis. So hypothesis is more like a scientific guess or prediction to each of the research question. Moving further, for this, in order to answer those research questions and hypotheses, we already identified 6 data sources. We planned for data cleaning, preparation, missing data, normalization. We kind of thought about the EDA. We kind of tried to categorize into independent variables, dependent variables, and control variables. Then we move on further to descriptive analysis. So here we try to find the mean, median, average ranges, how these values changes over time. We try to depict map and time series plot patterns to understand regions, year, and damages. Then this is important. This kind of gives big picture before testing the relationships. Next phase is correlation analysis. So here we are trying to do a correlation analysis between the key variables to understand how they move together. So in this correlation analysis we further do checks for multicollinearity. So if the multicollinearity is high, we will try to fix it before moving to regression. Here in the third phase regression analysis, we plan to perform multiple linear regression prediction on housing prices, rental cost, migration, while while using the controls. And further to this, for more reliable and thorough testing, we will see the comparison between coastal and inland counties, high versus low income counties. So here, for we will try to understand what is the impact on a worser economy. It is always understood that due to the large number of frequent disaster events at coastal areas, there will always be a population migration towards inland areas, and all the tools, utilities, and all the codes and all the platforms will be associated with R and Python. And finally, after this three-phase analysis, the outputs we are expecting in the regression is regression coefficients, effect size estimates, and visual summaries in terms of maps and trend plots. So this is how we are aiming to answer the research questions, and we are trying to check and see if the predictions made through hypothesis are correct and matching. So this is all about the proposal. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Thank you.